Recording in progress.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's regular city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 15, 2022. The time is now 6 p.m. The regular meeting of the city council will now come to order in person as well as through Zoom. Would you please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now roll call, please.
DeBono. Here. Griego. Here. Ogletree.
Here.
Shu.
Here.
Thurman.
Here.
Williamson.
Absent.
Rico.
Here. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Does council will have any changes that they would like to make to the agenda? Entertain a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Call vote?
DeBono.
Yes.
Griego.
Yes.
Ogletree.
Yes.
Shu.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 3, policy items and staff reports. Mr. Valentine, do you have anything?
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Item 4, petition for communications, oral and written. Do you have anyone signed up to speak? Before we get into that, I just want to mention I do have one letter here. It was actually from a city employee, city council members. Thank you so much for the consideration of the ARPA fund ordinance. I can't begin to tell you how much this means to me and my family, and I'm sure to the rest of the city workers and the families as well. In March 2020, I was told that I needed to work from home and shelter in place. Talk about a slap in the face and a quick reality check. I had no idea what this meant for me and my husband and 4 children. I was no way prepared. I had to create an office plus 4 mock city places with my kids. I learned very quickly that I was not cut out for this. I was in no way, shape, or form an elementary, middle school, high school, and college teacher, not to mention a full-time city worker. Unfortunately, my mental health was challenged. I had nowhere to escape and nowhere to go for fear I was going to bring this illness home and potentially kill my entire family because of it. I faced harder challenges when it came to finances because I had to provide breakfast and lunch for my kids, something the school always provided. They have since went back to school, but they have to wear masks all day, and I've been quarantined numerous times. Their education has suffered, especially my youngest. I can't speak for all the other workers, but I live paycheck to paycheck. I struggle to make ends meet, and I find that I can barely rub 2 pennies together some months. There are still limited items on the shelf, and everything has gone up. The passing of this ordinance would provide a sense of relief, a small cushion for a while. Thank you once again. Sincerely, Desiree Sandoval, Municipal Court Clerk. Thank you, Ms. Sandoval, for the letter. First up to speak, Mr. Tom Murphy, and just to remind everybody, you have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, and staff. It's nice to see all these people here. It reminds me of some previous meetings. I have another save the date for you guys. In 12 days, on March 27th at 6 o'clock at night, we are going to have what is similar to a Meet the Candidates night for the ambulance district. I'm not going to use that name because I don't want the Chamber of Commerce to come after me. I'll come up with another name for it, but it's going to be at the Chappelle House, which is also known as Modern Murphy Funeral. I did this the first time and only time back in 2006. There were a number of issues with the ambulance district at that time. And so please understand that this time, I'm not saying there's any issues with the ambulance district, but I'm starting to grow my television again and cover more governmental entities. And there was one of the ones that I first began covering when I began covering the city. I'm going to post that Meet the Candidates that I did back in 2006 on YouTube so people can see. But I've asked the mayor to be a panelist, along with Commissioner Lopez and Bill Knowles. And so at 6 o'clock, we're gonna have, there's 7 candidates, I have 6 confirmed. And we're gonna be live on YouTube, we're gonna be live on channel 71. And I'm hoping that people will come out, and watch and participate. I think I'm a little bit like Don Quixote, as far as government. The windmill is government. I just want people to participate and have good government. And the only way you can do that is if we participate. You guys know that because you signed up and ran. And you're sitting here and giving your time. That's what this is about. As I said, I don't know that there's anything going on other than I just wanted to see that they have an election. And so, again, 6 o'clock, March 27th, that's a Sunday night. Instead of 60 minutes, you can turn on channel 71 or you can turn it on to YouTube and watch. And it was fascinating when the first time we did that because I think it was partly responsible for, at that time, when we got a new director on the ambulance, we got a new board, and we got a mill levy passed. And now they're well funded and they're well operated, and it's a huge asset. And I just want people to participate. So if you would, guys, please mark it on your calendar, and you can come in person if you'd like. There'll be space for to sit and watch if you'd like. And then I think it's May 3rd. Please get out and vote. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thomas and Leah Lopez.
Hello again, council, staff, Ms. Ogletree out there. So we're here for a different reason tonight to discuss our business, Fisher's Peak Outfitters. And the Outfitters portion does entangle with fishing, no pun intended. So what we have been trying to do is get permits and things lined up so we can do things legally and in a fun manner where we're able to produce some other sales tax revenue for the city. We have approached Ms. Garrett, and she would get us downstairs to find out what necessities are there for us. And we've been informed that there isn't a permit that is necessary at this point in time for fishing within city limits on the purgatory itself from access ports. So with that knowledge, we just want to make sure that is accurate. And if it is so, we would like to get that in writing, because we want to make sure that if someone comes and approaches us saying, hey, you're doing something in a commercial capacity, taking people to learn how to fly fish, we want to say, no, we're okay. So that's...
We are insured and bonded and have lots of things that we've done.
So anyways, usually this is when you direct me to staff.
Yeah, Mr. Valentine.
So, I suggest we have a meeting, come in, and we could talk about it. First thing that comes to mind, and not taking Beech here, property ownership. The river is not the city's, we have certain properties there, so I suggest you come in and let's talk about your plan. Get with Kim, set something up, and we'll sit and discuss.
Great. Our email address is fisherspeakoutfitters@gmail.com.
Great.
Thank you.
Nice.
But yes, we're going to be selling those
We're
too.
going to sell them. We're selling. We're just waiting for our machine.
Bob Holder will be looking for
Yeah.
you.
We're already talking with him and Floyd and everybody else. We're making sure everything's all on the up and up and legal and proper and everyone gets paid.
And I'm pushing for bigger fish in there too, so.
That's another discussion. Where's Howard? Let's get some fish in there. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Pat Holland.
Award-winning, best of the best, award-winning Fisher's Peak Outfitters for best sporting goods, and really doing great things. I'm here with some good stuff, some awards for the city. We have the best of the best tidbits, a little entertainment rag that goes around. We do about 8,000 to 10,000 copies a month in Los Angeles, Huerfanel, and Colfax County. So pretty much all the way from Cimarron to Cuchara, okay? We ran a contest, best of the best. Second year we did this, we had over 2,800 voters. We had thousands of votes, and a lot of people won. It was better than our election. So, better campaign than mine. So the cool thing about that is we have about 90 categories, okay? And so that ends up being about, and our county had more. So we ended up having about 290 winning businesses and organizations. And it was really well received. Maybe some of these folks participated in it. So the city, though, we had some that won. So Wormhole won for best hiking trail and mountain bike trail. So we have a nice award for that, wall certificate, and maybe that goes to the rec department or something. I think Mike, you'd be able to help me get this. Simpson's Rest was a big winner in the place to impress out-of-towners. Central Park is the park that folks want to go to for a playground in Municipal Park. So we've got 3 awards with that. One of the things that I wanted to also share, Mike, I'll just give you this whole thing, okay, is that in doing this over 2 years, I get a chance to talk to a lot of businesses in our region, you know, Los Animas, Huerfano, and Colfax. And I get a chance to talk about all the great things because we've got a lot of cool here. Not just those 3 awards, but about 290 other awards that we sent out. Just amazing things where people are recognized for this tough stuff. And the last 2 years, you guys know better than most, but many folks know, as that letter attested to. It's been a challenge for a lot of people and a lot of businesses. And one of the things I hear consistently across our region is sometimes, and I know nobody here means this, but there sometimes is a disconnect where the city's helping businesses move forward. Now, I'm not talking monetarily or utility bills or those kind of things. There's a disconnect in what a city can help, or some of our towns can help a business do to be successful, and what they can do maybe where it's not successful. And pretty consistently, it's bureaucracy and the slow speed at which we operate and the changing of the goal lines for where somebody has to do things. So if somebody goes to a city council meeting in Walsenburg or La Villa or Trinidad or wherever, and they think they know what they're going to do, as what we just heard minutes ago. I don't know, I want to bring people on this river. We want to teach them how to fish. We want to do these things. How do you do that? And so I want to just try and encourage with this because we're recovering. Businesses are starting to do some things. We lost a lot. New Mexico lost a lot. But we lost a lot. Huerfano lost a lot. Some folks are just trying to get recover. So what I want to try and just throw out there is if we can flatten governance a little bit, if we can make it to where it's easier for somebody to come before this body or any other body and know the rules of engagement, what they have to do to go forward, and then not have it to where it's thrown into them to get it done, but actually have to where we, in Economic Development Director, we help them get to where they need to go. We help them navigate to get there. So they're not taking weeks and months to get through a process. Maybe they're taking weeks and days to get through a process. I think we can help folks recover a lot more with the tough times they've had. Adding more bureaucracy and more time. Darren, speed of business is how we operate, right? We got to operate at the speed of business. And so I think
Mine's Zacharias. Just kidding.
But, so, I mean, that's the thing that I hear kind of in our community and in the communities in our region. If they have an opportunity to get a faster flow, know what the rules of engagement are. If I check off this box and this box and this box, then I can do this. And I think that would help. There, no, that's it. Congratulations. Congratulations to our town. We got great stuff around here. Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
The Joe Bear.
Allison Shoemaker.
Am I allowed to give my time to our attorney?
Sure.
I'll do that.
Okay. Let's pause for 1 second. Could I see you? Sure. Mr. Downton. Sure.
Executive session. Hey, Howard, you opening mooses after this?
I would just roast the keys.
I'll take my class right now. Yeah. We're marketing over here, we're marketing.
All right, let's continue. Would your attorney come forward, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think Mr. Zeech's was going to take his time first, and then I would take Ms. Schumacher's and mine after that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'll just set my own clock here. So the quick story for those of you that don't know or don't recall some of the details. I began my quest to get a liquor license in April of 2020. August 3rd, I didn't get it at that time because it was required that I get a plat for my property, which took me well over a year to get done. Finally, I got that done. I thought I was going to get this liquor license. August 3rd, I submitted it. Then it got kicked back. August 27th, it finally got through. And then speeding forward, I came to see all of you December 7th. There was a big conversation about a boundary. Mr. Mayor, you asked the city attorney to provide the regulations. That never happened. I just want to note that. Then on January 4th, I came before all of you again. It was approved. Now we're at March 15th. I still do not have my liquor license. I have nothing from the issuing authority stating what I must do. And I want to remind you that in the process, I believe it was asked if anybody in the audience had any objection. It's what I continue to get now is verbal objections. As I stand here today, I'll tell you that I put up a boundary without a regulation. I hope it's correct because I did what I could. It was told to my attorney that they wanted ADA bathrooms. I had one there when I opened the business. I have since contacted Twin Enviro, who now owns what was Little Stinkers. The person in charge of that won't be back until Thursday, or I would have had 2 of those in place today also. I'm doing what I can, but there's too many obstacles that are being put in front of me. I'd like to go now to a letter I wrote 6 days ago, and I addressed the city manager, who I do want to note hasn't had any input, hasn't had any correspondence with me. The response from this email came from the city attorney. I went on and I read the pertinent parts of the city charter. So I understand the limitation that you all have. You can't go directly to city employees and tell them, do this, get it done, whatever the case may be. There is a hierarchy. I work very well with those. I understand it. So as I understand the city charter, all of you approved it, and I'm assuming that's also based on the interest and the benefit of the community, which I went out and solicited and got approval from members of our community. And so then, again, all of you approved that. 1 minute, sir. 1 minute.
Great. And so then it goes to the city manager, which is why I wrote out to him. But I got a response from the city attorney saying, don't do that, there's lawyers involved. Okay? So the obstacles keep coming forward. I don't have my license. All I want to say in closing is, please help me, whatever it takes. This is absurd. It's not helping small business after COVID. It's not helping the tax rolls. Please help me get the liquor license so I can continue on. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Okay, Allison, are you next, or would that be Mr. Landry?
That'd be Mr. Landry.
Please come forward.
Thank you very much. So I understand that I have 10 minutes now?
I would say 5. I don't think you can assign over time.
Okay, so,
She will have to speak, so it'll be 5 minutes.
well, can she have her
Then
5
I'll-
minutes
then I'll-
back?
She can have 5 minutes.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So, just so that we're clear, we came in here, and my client came in here again in December, as he explained, asking for approval. There were some issues. We came back on January 4th. Prior to that meeting, I had spoken to Mr. Downs a couple of times, submitted a plan to him, and his comments repeatedly were, well, let's just get the initial patio boundary, get a liquor license for that, instead of doing the whole property. We came in, I think it was, and the plan was that, and still is, that my client sells liquor out of the yellow trailer on the property. Mr. Goodall, I think Rusty Goodall had asked specifically at the last meeting, or at the January 4th meeting, is it the yellow trailer that you're talking about selling it out of? And the answer was yes. And that plan was approved, and that plan that was submitted at that time was approved. Since then, I've spoken to Ms. Garrett. Ms. Garrett initially said, well, you just have to have it approved by the police, the fire department, and the building inspector. When I went in to speak to the building inspector to ask specifically what this boundary needed to look like, there wasn't any response other than Ms. Garrett getting quite upset about the questions that I was asking for something in writing, telling my client exactly what he needed to do to get the liquor license. Since then, I've had, actually my client has reached out to the city manager asking for some direction on what it's going to take. And the response was from Mr. Downs saying that neither of my clients can have any contact with any city employees because they have an attorney. And that all communications with all city employees needs to go through my office into his office. So I'm asking Mr. Downs specifically what needed to be done for my clients to be able to get the liquor license. He gave me a different set of boundaries that had been submitted initially back before the December meeting and said the entire property has to be built out. Ms. Garrett said, well, you have to have approvals from the health inspector, and this is a hotel liquor license. Therefore, you need to abide by the state's guidelines for a hotel liquor license. My client contacted the state, and the state said they have no problem with him selling out of the trailer. But now we're in a situation where Mr. Downs, and the previous speaker was a perfect lead-in, is changing the goalposts. And Ms. Garrett is changing the goalposts here. And we're being told different things than what was proposed at the January 4th meeting and approved by the city council. So if nothing else, what we need from the city manager or from your attorney, somebody telling my client exactly what's required for him to get this liquor license. Because so far, again, we came in here and it was approved with the guideline, with the boundaries that had been set out in the diagram that was presented to this council. And now we're being told that no, that's not sufficient. You have to go and build out the entire property. You have to do the original plan, and that was actually just sent over by Mr. Downs, I think it was yesterday, saying, no, the ones that were submitted to the city council on January 4th are not sufficient now. Now the boundaries are different, and now the build-out is different. It's not just for the patio area. You have to build out the entire restaurant area, the entire area to be able to get approval. And so, where Mr. Valentine was offered to the previous speaker, just come sit down and let's talk about it, we're precluded from doing that because my clients have an attorney. And I would suspect that that's not how every other business owner in this city is being treated just because they have counsel. They're precluded from speaking to anybody in the city government, which is ridiculous. So, again, like my client was asking, we just need some help here. We need some direction from the city government, from Mr. Downs, from Mr. Valentine, from somebody telling us what is necessary to have that license issued.
It's 5 minutes.
I didn't get the 1 minute warning.
You did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, thank you all
Thank you.
very much. I really appreciate your
Okay,
time.
thank you.
Bless you.
Do y'all understand the frustration? We have an attorney because at the December meeting, Mr. Downs said, y'all need to get an attorney. So in having an attorney, it precludes us from speaking to anybody about anything. At the December meeting, Scott just said it was all about the boundary. It was all about the boundary at that meeting. Everybody was wondering, what's the big deal about this boundary? I have an email from Audra Garrett saying you don't have to have the boundary in before you go to council for the hearing. I have that in writing. We weren't allowed to share that with any of you because y'all weren't allowed to speak to us about it. I have been a part of this community since 2011. I'm not born and raised here, but I've raised my children here. And the level of frustration that I have right now for how this is being handled makes me lose sleep at night. And the last thing I need to do is lose sleep. I've got too much going on, and I want to be involved in too much. And this is affecting us. It's affecting our business. It's affecting our livelihood. This is a 2-year-long process. It's been 2 years since we've been trying to get this license. Every time we think we take one step forward, we're jerked back 2 more spaces. And I don't know what to say to y'all to get you to understand that something has to be done differently. Somebody has to step in and say, that's enough. It's personal. It feels personal to us. It's treated like it's personal. Scott is a retired airline pilot. He was paid to read technical manuals for a living. He's read the building code manuals. He knows them. You could probably hire him. So when we're told, no, you can't do this because of building code BR 549, and he looks it up and it's not even a thing, doesn't even apply to us. So he's going to say, that's not a thing, that doesn't apply to us. But that makes somebody at the city mad because it shined a light on, I don't want to say their incompetence, but their inability to just say yes or no and why. Just why. It's not a parent-child relationship. It's a business and a municipality relationship. We want to do something. No, you can't do that. Tell us why, or tell us how we can do it, and we'll do it. Put up a boundary. Okay, because it has been so contemptuous, please tell us what that boundary needs to look like. No. Yet the city has the ability to say that boundary's not okay. You just spent money on that boundary because we told you to put in a boundary, but they could absolutely say, don't like that boundary, do something else. Because there's no guidelines, there's nothing in writing. How difficult is it to sell a beer with a pizza? It's 2 years difficult.
1 minute, ma'am.
Is what it is. It's ridiculous, is what it is. Y'all know I can talk. Y'all know I talk to everybody. And I will continue talking to everybody and telling everybody how ridiculous this is until it's not anymore. It should not have ever gotten personal. It should not have ever taken 2 years. But here we are, and it has. Just tell us in writing what we need to do and quit changing the goalpost. Quit moving the boundary. Quit changing the rules. And quit putting new rules on us that weren't there for everybody else.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, Mr. Downs will address that concern when I call on him at the end of the meeting for his report. So if you guys want to stick around and hear what he has to say, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Item 5, consent agenda approval. Item A, approval of the regular meeting minutes of March 1, 2022. Item B, reappointment of Chris Miller and Camilla Campbell to the Tourism Board. And I see Mr. Miller is here. I don't know if Camilla Campbell is here or she's online. But they are currently part of the Tourism Board as they're getting the appointments. Item C, approval of special event permits involving malt, vinous, and spirituous for Arthur Roy Mitchell Incorporated at 150 East Main Street on 49, 423, 56, 514, 520, 625, 716, 86, 910, 1029, 1119, 123, and 1210 of May of 22. Got a lot going on.
We're busy.
Item D, new beer and wine liquor license application filed by the Hollywood Bar and Cafe LLC at 1133 North Linden Avenue, set for public hearing at 6 p.m. on April the 19th, 2022, at the tentative neighborhood boundary as the corporate city limits. Mr. John Banny, are you here? Okay, he's here. Thank you very much for being here. Item E, new retail marijuana product manufacturing facility application filed by Extol Processing Incorporated at 3019 Topol Drive, set for a public hearing at 6 p.m. on April the 19th, 2022. Joshua Bean, are you here?
Here, sir.
You listening? Okay, thanks for being here. One thing I want to mention there is there was an incorrect date. It shows 11/1/22 in 2 places. It should have been 11/1/21. I think that was where the application was filed. So you might want to check on that for a typo. Item F is the resolution supporting application of the State Board of the Great Outdoors Colorado Trust Fund, which is GOCO, for a planning and capacity grant in support of the completion of the Trinidad multicultural, multi-generational engagement and natural resources development study. And just let everybody know that funding is not needed, direct funding, because it's in kind from the city of Trinidad. Item G, approval of the bills for $1,065,277. Item H, approval of the payroll March 5th, 2022 through March 18th, 2022, and March 19th, 2022 through April 1, 2022, for $409,921.36. Entertain a motion. So moved. Second?
Second.
Call vote?
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman, Rico.
Yes. Item 6, public hearings. 6A, new tavern liquor license application filed by Wow Hotel LLC at 155 East Main Street. Hearing is now open. Would either Kelly Williams or Jason Decker or both come forward, please? Please swear them in.
Will you raise your hand? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Downs.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome. And we have Keely and Jason, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Ms. Williams and Mr. Decker. This is a liquor license application for the Well Hotel LLC, doing business as the Well Hotel and Tap Room, tentatively?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And the address of the premises is 155 East Main Street in Trinidad?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm just gonna ask you a whole bunch of questions, so, thank you. And this is for the area that was Terry's hallmark, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it is a tavern liquor license?
Yes.
Okay, and both of you, I believe, make up the LLC, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. An LLC that was formed, I believe, in January 17th of 2022?
Correct.
Okay. But both of you were the managing members of the Linden Library Company, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you, the landlord is Keeley Williams Properties 2020 LLC? And would you tell us, please, what is the ownership of that LLC?
It's 50% Keeley Williams and 50% Jason Decker.
Okay. Same composition, just a different company. Okay. And it's a 20-year lease from April 1, 2022 to April 1, 2042?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And why don't you tell council at this point, please, what you're planning?
Sure. Good evening. We wanted to take a few minutes and just introduce ourselves and give you a little background since we are new to town and we've recently moved here. My name is Keeley Williams and this is my husband, Jason Decker.
We are the owners of the Well Hotel and Tap Room, currently under construction in the former Terry's Hallmark building on Main Street.
I am a real estate developer and architect by trade. I'm also a hotelier and I own several hospitality properties in New Orleans, Louisiana. My main focus is the rehabilitation of historic buildings, and I've been doing that for myself or for other firms for almost 15 years. And so I'm always looking for a project where it can breathe new life into the structure. And Jason is a digital marketing expert.
Yeah, I have 12 years experience in digital marketing, and my first marketing role was actually working directly with boutique hotel owners in small mountain towns across Colorado. And I was able to help small hoteliers get more bookings and revenue and really help their businesses and their families. And that's where I really gained my passion for hospitality, small mountain towns in Colorado, and now I'm uniquely qualified in this field. Keeley and I started working together in New Orleans at the Catabula Hotel and Bar, and I used a combination of marketing techniques to bring in out-of-towners to stay at the hotel, as well as building a community around locals and bringing people into the bar and bringing the two together. And building a community melting pot with locals, musicians, local artists, creatives, and really just everyone in town is something that's really important to us.
So Catabula Hotel is a property that I developed and own currently. It's a boutique hotel in downtown New Orleans. And so when we first met in a romantic capacity, it was no surprise that with his expertise in mind, we knew that we could work more together, and we have been for a few years now. So that property has 2 bars in it. It's got a rooftop bar and it's got a lobby bar. And so I've had that operating since 2016. And it's been going great. It's still been going really good with a little hiatus during COVID. But it's not just about the liquor. You know, it's more than just the liquor. It's really become like a community third space. It's a place where people can leave their house and come hang out. In New Orleans' case, an air-conditioned, watering hole where people can hang out. You can have music, poetry, and so we describe it like a community's living room. And so, yeah, that has been a really, really wonderful opportunity for us to kind of earn our stripes in this field of hospitality and bar ownership, and we've won a lot of awards for it. We've been in Vogue, we've been in The Guardian, we've been in CNN and Forbes. So we kind of found Trinidad, and we felt like it was a really good match for us and for Trinidad for us and for us for Trinidad. So we're hoping to bring that same energy here. Yes.
Absolutely. Anything else? I mean, I want you to tell council about your model for what you're proposing here if you're approved. But But thank you very much, I appreciate that. So you have experience in the liquor and service industry, fair to say?
Correct.
Okay, great, thank you. Now, I want to ask you, you both submitted yourselves for background checks, correct?
Yes.
And I don't know if you knew, but you both passed. So you have a couple of traffic matters in Florida.
Yes.
So I don't know why I mentioned that. But anyway, so just, that's all either one of you have. I believe, sir, you circulated the petition in support of your application, is that correct?
We both did, yes.
You both did, okay, I saw your signature on the affidavit, but you both did, and I believe you obtained 35 signatures, 27 of which were valid, 100% were in favor, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and that was mayor and council, the outcome of the petition. How many employees are you planning on having, if I could please ask?
Probably 6 to 10 employees.
Okay. And do you know what tips training is?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I don't think you said anything about that. Are you planning on having all of your employees tips trained?
Not all of them.
Yes.
We'll have some staff that's maintenance or,
Makes
something like
sense,
that.
right, not serving alcohol.
Correct, yes.
Okay. But the ones that are serving alcohol or dealing with alcohol, you'll have them.
Yeah.
You have them
We'll be
tips
going
trained.
through that too, just refresh.
Okay, good. And I heard everything you said about your business experience in New Orleans and Louisiana. Are you familiar with the Trinidad and Colorado liquor laws? Okay. And are you familiar with your application? Is it correct to the best of your information and knowledge?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You understand that if you were approved for this liquor license, you're completely responsible for the liquor license and being lawful. You understand that? You're responsible for the conduct on the premises. You understand? I mean, within reason, right? You don't want anyone getting drunk or disorderly. But if there is any like egregious examples of misbehavior, you could be responsible and could even lose your liquor license. You understand that?
We do understand.
Okay, and you agree to that, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. You understand if there are already violations that become known to you, you need to report them to the local police department. You understand also you have to comply with fire, police, building, the city clerk's office, city attorney's office, city manager, all departments in the city of Trinidad. Okay. Now, will you please real briefly just explain to council what it is you're proposing for this establishment?
Should I remember?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to focus on the tap room today, but that's where the liquor license really applies to. But
Please.
we will have a 12-room boutique hotel as well that will open up a bit later. So I know some people are going to have some questions about the way that we'll be serving our liquor or alcohol, and it'll be a bit unique, so I wanted to go through that briefly. So we partnered with a booming American beverage company called Pour My Beer. And what they do is they design self-pour tap systems, which are now located everywhere from Pagosa Springs, Durango, Colorado Springs, Denver, and all over Colorado and beyond. They are available in 44 states and counting. So essentially how it would work walking into our establishment is someone would walk in, they would get ID'd, and essentially they would put a credit card down as you would put down at a bar for a tap. They would then receive an RFID card, which essentially is used to, you will go up to our tap station, put in your card, and be able to pour your drinks on your own. So theoretically, there is no bartender, although we have someone checking you in at the front, checking IDs, and someone who will be manning the tap systems as well. And one of the first things that people usually ask is, how do you prevent people from drinking too much? So it is actually built directly into the system that after 2 beers, which are count as 16 to 12 ounces, depending on the strength of them, or 2 5-ounce glasses of wine, or 2 5-ounce liquor drinks, you will immediately, your card will be frozen. And you'll need to check in with a staff member who will then confirm your sobriety, and then, if appropriate, unlock your card. So essentially, after every 2 drinks, your card is frozen, which is probably more than a standard bar, actually. So we think this is a really great, fun and interesting way to serve alcohol, and it also gives our team more of an opportunity to greet our guests and actually keep an eye on kind of what's going on the ground in person, rather than being stuck behind a bar where you don't really know what's going on at all places of your establishment. So, yeah, we will also be having 3 non-alcoholic drinks on tap at all times. Right now, we're planning on starting out with root beer, coffee, and kombucha. So that's something for people who are underage or for people who are non-alcoholic drinkers. And that's something that's really important to us and the environment that we are looking to create, which, as Keely has mentioned before, is a gathering place for the local community and travelers alike. And having a self-pour tap system, it just makes it easier for us to monitor our whole team and engage in a more deep and unique way than many establishments. So we don't plan on being the latest spot open on Main Street, but we also most likely won't be the earliest to close just because we are a hotel establishment.
Thank you. Mayor, Councilmember.
Questions, Mr. DeBono?
No, welcome. I think it's going to be a good place to go to.
Thank you.
Sweet.
I'm looking at your diagrams here and I'm having a hard time visualizing this concept. I've never heard of this concept before, but it's interesting. It's very interesting.
We were talking to the company that we're working with who lobbied to legalize a lot of the self-pour systems, and I think it's about to get really big. I mean, it's a way of really reducing your wastage and controlling what you're doing when it comes to alcohol. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this. I don't think we'll be the last ones to do it, and maybe even here.
Really very interesting.
Yeah.
I just have a question on operations. You said you're going to have somebody there when a patron's card freezes, then they won't be able to get any more. But what stops somebody else that has the cards using that and trying to circumvent the system?
So you're saying if they go and they get someone else's card?
Right.
Well, each card is going to rack up.
They're only going to get 4.
Yeah, and I think that there's some element of still being a responsible manager on site, and I think you still have to watch out for that kind of stuff. I've seen of my fair share of nonsense in New Orleans, so. So I think it goes into staff training. You know, I really do. I think you have to be alert and you have to know what's going on.
So will your manager be security as well? Will you have somebody there that will be able to handle somebody that gets a little rambunctious?
I think we'll have a protocol. For that. I think that there's going to be certain times of the day, especially at night, where we will have actual security. So we've talked to a few folks in town that specialize in that, especially with overnight. Like, I've never had a hotel facility other than, you know, an Airbnb or an independent one-off that hasn't had overnight security before. So we're kind of trying to come up with solutions from that. But I think really you've got to train well. You've got to do the training. And so I think we feel pretty good about it. And I think that there'll be a little bit of a learning curve for us, just, you know, being in a new place. But
so you've had experience with this type of self-serve before?
As a patron, no, not just as a regular bar owner, and being able to say, you know, this behavior is not acceptable, or this person's been overserved, they need to be asked to leave, and then there's protocols after that.
I don't think Trinidad is as wild as New Orleans. So I think
I don't know.
It depends on who you
We're
talk to.
infiltrating.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
No, it's not that.
No, I have no question.
I just got a couple, just kind of more for curiosity. Do you have food and snacks that's available in there?
It's right there, dude.
Well, I was just asking.
We have a concept that we like to do, which is, you know how people do snack boards, like they'll do like a cheese and meat board. We're trying to do it in a vending machine, so you can just pull your own cheese and make your own board. So we're trying to do that, and then we also have a full food truck schedule for the entire month of May, right now. but on our premises in the back.
So what about your parking for the motel? Do you have any areas secured for parking?
We have a few spots, but we're gonna have most of that be beer garden, I think. And then a lot of it's gonna be street parking. Although there's a couple surface lots around us, and I would really love to have more, just for us.
We have been engaged to get some additional parking as well.
Yeah, we would love to.
Yeah, because that would kind of be an issue for overnight parking and stuff. Because we do have to, after 10 o'clock, I think you're not supposed to park on Main Street.
Yeah.
So that would be an issue.
Maple's pretty wide, but there's a couple lots along Maple, and as you get down to Plum, that would be good
Do
opportunities.
you own a little bit of that area there behind Terry's?
We do, yeah.
So that would give you some area for parking.
We'll have some.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Ogletree?
Hi, welcome to Trinidad. Thanks for bringing some innovative ideas, and I know we're very excited about the boutique hotel that y'all are planning as well. Most of my questions have been answered. I just wondered, how do you keep someone from coming in and taking the liquor and leaving? Is that person who is the ID checker going to also let people know you can't go beyond this point with the alcohol, or how does that work?
Correct, they will. So everyone that's going to be, when the hotel is open, the hotel guests will be checking in, and as well as the tap room guests. So everyone will be going through the front, and even if someone did manage to sneak by in some capacity, if they went to the tap system, they wouldn't be able to pour without an RFID card, so they would be unable to.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Thurman?
I'd like to say congratulations, hopefully on your tap room and success.
Thank you.
I've been to a concept like that, I think it's the Wine Institute in New Orleans.
Oh, why not?
Why not? Yes. I get the concept. Is it similar to that? Is it close to that?
It's just almost identical, yes.
Okay, so the liquor's behind the wall, and you just stick your glass there and the card, and you put your wristband up, and
correct.
The liquor comes out and pours to the perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's fun. It's because you can pour 2 ounces, or you can pour
Full glass or a
full
taste.
glass. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, super cool. You should. Yeah.
I want to win some awards, so I'm gonna go for it.
I think it's a very interesting concept, something like we've not had here in Trinidad, and I was reading all the information that you had from, pouring of the liquor to being able to buy, some of the food that's there, and the whole concept is very, very different, something that I've never seen, and it's nice to see bringing in something like that to Trinidad, but I can see where the control is there, and I'm glad to see it, so.
Thank you.
Anyway,
We're really excited to be here.
any other questions? Anyone in the audience to speak for or against the application?
Four.
Four. Hearing is now closed. Entertain a motion for a new tavern liquor license application filed by Wow Hotel LLC at 155 East Main Street.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Call the vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Ms. Griggle, you want to read the findings, please?
I think Aaron's been.
Aaron, are you going to read those?
I have them.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. This matter came on hearing for the application of Well Hotel LLC at 155 East Main Street in Trinidad, Colorado for a new tavern liquor license before the City Council of the City of Trinidad, Colorado, acting in its capacity as the local licensing authority on March 15, 2022 in City Council chambers in City Hall. The City Council, having reviewed the application and supporting documents and reports of the City Clerk and other city staff, petitions admitted into evidence at the hearing, and testimony taken during the hearing, makes the following findings. 1. The neighborhood consists of that area located within the city's corporate limits. 2. Keely Williams and Jason Decker testified in favor of granting the license. No other persons testified in favor of or or in opposition to the granting of the license. The city clerk's report showed that there are 41 liquor license outlets within the neighborhood. Of these, there are 6 fermented malt beverage off-premises licenses, 1 fermented malt beverage on-premises license, 2 club licenses, 13 hotel and restaurant licenses, 6 liquor store licenses, 8 tavern licenses, 1 arts license, 1 beer and wine license, and 3 lodging and entertainment licenses. 4, the applicant submitted petitions regarding the liquor license application. The petitions contained 35 total signatures, of which 27 were residents or business representatives from within the neighborhood, 21 years of age or older, in favor of issuance of a liquor license at this location. No remonstrances were submitted. 5, the applicant, through testimony and other evidence, made a prima facie showing that the reasonable requirements of the neighborhood are not being met by existing liquor outlets, and that the adult inhabitants of the neighborhood favor issuance of the license. 6, based on the evidence presented at the hearing and the investigative materials provided for the hearing, the City Council finds that the reasonable requirements of the neighborhood are not being met by the existing liquor establishments, that the adult inhabitants of the neighborhood favor issuance of a license to the applicant, and that the applicant officers are of satisfactory moral character. Therefore, the City Council of the City of Trinidad, Colorado, as the local liquor licensing authority, hereby approves the application of Well Hotel, LLC at 155 East Main Street in Trinidad, Colorado.
Thank you. So much.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations and good luck, and thank you for investing in the community of Trinidad. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 6B, public hearing for consideration of an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of vacant lots 21 and 22, Block 4, James addition to the City of Trinidad, to Nancy D. Miller. Hearing is now open. Audra, is that something that you're going to cover?
Mayor, I can or City Manager Valentine, either one. On this refresh council memory, the city put these lots out for bid and received 1 bid in the amount of $50,000 from Nancy D. Miller. And the city will likely use those properties, those lots for housing. That was the city's intent in putting the lots out to bid.
Ms. Miller, are you with us tonight, by the way? You see that as a problem?
I do not, Mayor. I mean, we've actually, I think, Audra, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've received the check for the property. She was the only bidder for the property. In this case, we take the highest bidder. But I see no issues there.
Any questions from council? Mr. Bono?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay. Ms. Ogles, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. I don't have any questions either. Anyone in the audience to speak for or against the ordinance? Hearing none, hearing is now closed. Item 6B1, second reading of the ordinance authorizing the conveyance of vacant lots 21 and 22, Block 4, James addition to the City of Trinidad. Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call a vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Behrman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item C, public hearing for consideration of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Trinidad, Colorado, authorizing expenditure of American Rescue Plan funds. Hearing is now open. Mr. Valentine, would that be you or would that be Ms.?
That'd be me, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. As discussed in a work session and during the first reading, we finally received our final rules on how the ARPA money that we receive can be dispersed, and one of the priorities was premium pay for our employees who lived it, worked through it, kept the city services going through everything, and this is a form of appreciation for all they do for the city, and I really have nothing but great things to say about staff and the work they do for the citizens, and you see a lot of them out here. I think probably to show appreciation to council in return, so I have nothing else to add unless you have questions.
Questions, Mr. DeBono?
No, it's well deserved, and I agree, and I was one of the first ones to mention that it should go to personnel, show appreciation of tireless efforts that they've contributed to the city, and it's just a good thing.
It's great.
Not a question, but now that some of you are in the audience and most of the departments are represented tonight, I'll tell you, as a city councilman in mid-March of 2020, I was scared for the city of Trinidad because I thought we were going to be in total destruction mode. But because of you all, everybody that works for the city, I mean, I can't believe we didn't go through that unscathed, but because of you all doing the jobs that you had to do, some of you risking life and limb to be in the public when we didn't know what COVID-19 was all about. And it's just really gratifying for me as a city council person to be able to thank you all in person for everything you do. We're on the same team. There's sometimes people come up to us and complain about we're not fair, we don't know what we're doing. But I'll tell you what, since I've been on city council, there's not anybody that dare mentions a bad word about the staff for the city of Trinidad. And then that comes from the bottom of my heart, and I want to thank each and every one of you so much for putting yourselves out there every day. Thank you so much.
No, all I can do is stand up, guys.
Yeah.
Give you a hand. Stand up.
Yeah.
We appreciate everything you guys did.
Yes, you too, Cheryl.
You just stand up by yourself.
Ms. Ogletree?
I can't say more than already has been said. I did appreciate Ms. Sandoval's letter. I thought that was very sweet, very kind, and I'm very happy that we're able to do this.
No question, just congratulations, guys. Keep up the good work.
I just want to say that, I think we, as an entire community, are very fortunate that this money became available to us. And it's only right that we pass this money on to you. Earlier on, I know that we gave $1 million to the businesses and some of the residents in Trinidad. And we did that as well. And when this came about, the recommendation was to pass this money on to staff. Several of you I know have contacted COVID and worked through it. Some of you had it more difficult than others. But I really wanted to say that you guys really did step up. You stayed with us. Thank you for everything that you do day in and day out. Some of you work in a workplace, others work in very cold places at different times of the day and night, weekends, you name it. And you guys are always there for the citizens of this community. So, thank you very much for everything that you do. It's very well deserved. Thank you very much. Anyone wanting to speak for or against the ordinance?
I just want to say on
Come on, please, you have to identify yourself. Nice try.
On behalf of all the union members and non-union members of General Services, we just want to thank you guys for
Give us your name so that
Jeremy. I work here.
Good man.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I seem to. think he's gonna call me the tree man one of these days. That being said, hearing is now closed.
Yeah, we had another one.
One more?
Yeah, come on up, nice try. Keep going, that's right, oh yeah.
I'm Captain Jody Salter with the Trinidad Fire Department. I am Local 6. We would really like to say our appreciation and passing this money forward for the city. It's been a long night for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Something that I think that hopefully this will help. One more. Come on forward.
Guys?
Yeah, police can't be outdone by fire.
Police department, I just want to thank you guys very much. We worked really hard to make sure the city stayed safe through the pandemic and are still continuing to be out there for the folks. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, on behalf of the Mark Hill, Water Utility Director, on behalf of the Water Department, I'd like to thank everybody for considering and doing what you have done for us, and we appreciate that. The guys plan on being here tonight, but they're busy fixing the water leak right now. We're going to get a drive, otherwise they won't be here.
There you go. See, that's right.
There you go.
Guys are there day in and day out. Thank you very much. Anyone else? With that, we'll close the hearing. Second reading of ordinance, City Council of the City of Trinidad, Colorado, authorizing expenditure of American Rescue Plan Act funds. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. There you go, guys.
Thank you.
Don't spend it all in one place. Okay, on to item 7, unfinished business, we have none. Item 8, miscellaneous business, 8A, professional services agreement between the city and the Greenway Foundation for the Purgatory River Vision Plan and conceptual and design. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Okay. And that was for $127,150, which will come from CIP funds and the Riverwalk improvement funds. And,
Yes, yes, we did.
Okay. I guess you're up.
Gotta be honest, for the first year, I never saw you guys within like the last 3 weeks. I think I've been here every time. I felt like we're becoming like friends. I don't know if I can address you as council and midnight.
How lucky can you get?
We're pretty good looking bunch, aren't we?
I tell you what, well, I don't know if you go there. Mayor, members of the council, I'm going to touch on the agenda item. So in the process of the river visioning, we kind of came to, we were able to complete the process. We didn't have agreement from all parties involved as to come to a consensus of what the conceptual plan should be for the river and the visioning process. So reached out to the Greenway Foundation to continue that process. And what they're asking for now is for additional funds. Oh no. He's shoot. He's a glory hog. I should just turn it over to him because I know he wants to talk right now. But so to finish the process and to do some additional studies that will provide the necessary information to engage some of the groups to then come to a consensus of what the visioning plan should be. And so that is why the Greenway Foundation is here today. It's important that we might consider that what they are asking the funds for is something that we would have to do later on anyway as we continue with the GOCO process. So to do this congruently with the same time we're applying for GOCO and the Centennial Grant, and to have this efforts continue going at the same time will put us in the loop to be ready for that Centennial Grant process. To delay this will then kind of put us out of line. So just something to consider as you think about that. So I will turn the time over to Jeff and Dean, if you have any questions, and go from there.
Hey, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. And, you know, I've listened to just darn near every minute of your meeting so far, and I want to start with this. 2 years ago this day, Denver shut down because of a pandemic. And, you know, I don't want to do anything other than look where we are 2 years later. And look how, if we can learn anything from the past, look how much stronger and more resilient and more caring and hopefully more loving we are. And everything I've heard during a council meeting thus far tonight speaks to that in Trinidad. So it's just always important. I learned so many things from my father, and one of them is, son, I can't change the past, I can affect the future. And so that's hopefully a good segue. Let me secondly say congratulations, City of Trinidad. There were 50 applications with concept papers, and guess what? Only 19 got approved, and you guys are one of the 19. If I have my way, you'll be number one, but I'm not sure they score them that way. But here's the point. You're not 31 who got booted. You're one of 19 that gets to apply for a full application. That's another day. We talked about that next week. And here's the best wish you hopefully have is at your next week's city council meeting. Shoemaker is not looking at you and you're not looking at him. But it's great to be back. But I want to tell you, congratulations. And that's a separate conversation, and yet it's connected. I'm going to turn this over to Dean in just a minute. I also look forward at some point, and you know, the day will come when I have the honor of sitting in your chamber in front of all of you and telling you how proud and honored I am at the Greenway Foundation to be engaged in the vision, not just for your river, but I will remind you all, I'm also the executive director of the Colorado Parks Foundation, and we've had a little skin in the game in the Fishers Peak State Park. I won't overstretch that, whatever, but, and Crystal Dreiling and I have known each other for way too long, so, you know, yet another great thing about your community. And here's why we're here tonight, then I'm going to turn it over to the guy who actually is the design and engineering and proposal smart in this. Here's how things work, and that is knowledge builds power. And this is a very competitive process with GOCO right now, and a very knowledge-based from the ground up process. And this is not ahead of anything that GOCO is considering supporting. And by the way, thanks to Jared and our grant writer Justine, Dean, despite Jeff, we'll have a full application in literally the last day of this month. I am optimistic, to say the least, that full application will be approved. Then what happens is we reach out to the full community in Trinidad, all aspects, everything, and say, what do you want for your city? What do you want for your park? What do you want for your parks, meaning state parks? What do you want for your local parks? What do you want for your river? What do you want? What is your vision? Community of Trinidad, what do you want? And when that work is done, then assuming GOCO approval, which I again absolutely believe will happen, then you get to apply for the money. And that, at the end of the day, that's a good thing. So part of what, to Jared's point, we're talking about tonight is how can the effort that Dean will describe not conflict with, not get ahead of, not compete with, but engage in and support and strengthen the community outreach and engagement process. Because before you can know what you want a river to be, you've got to know what that river is. And you got to know land, and you got to know personalities, and you got to know stakeholders, and you got to know. So that's why I applaud, and I want to applaud Jared for coming to us on this. And by the way, Mike Valentine, you and I have a little conversation to have about this concept of retirement, because it doesn't please me. I'm not very happy with you right now. I'm sure your wife is, going, shut up, Shoemaker. But joking aside, Mike, you're the man. man. And I want to say that on public record, and I want to thank you. And with that, Dean Pearson, let me turn it over to you. Time is precious. Just know this before I hit my mute. We're so excited at Greenway Foundation to be asked to be part of this, and I promise you this. When we say we will deliver, we will deliver. So with that, Mr. Pearson.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, Mayor. Hello, Council. It's nice to see you, even though it's virtually. I wish we could be there in person, but thanks for letting us spend a few minutes tonight. I know you have a lot on your agenda, so I'll just briefly go over our proposal. This proposal includes topographic survey, more detailed topographic survey, basically from Nevada down to the existing railroad bridge. The information we had was somewhat limited. This will go right down to the river's edge and will basically do all the cross sections that the county has recently done for the floodplain update. So this will be work that will be done and will be used for the final design of the entire river corridor. We're not going to do full design of the whole corridor. We're going to do design, more detailed conceptual design of the area between Commercial and the railroad bridge. As you know, the water providers weren't thrilled with our idea for a vision for that area. And this next step is going to allow us to show them that we think this vision will work. We'll have more detailed survey information. We have respec engineering, they're a water utility engineer. They'll be able to actually look at how can we more efficiently divert the water for them. And then we have S2O design to do more detailed recreational design of the river. So the goal is to basically have a design charrette, have them at the table, have conversations, but have enough information where we can talk about it in a more meaningful way. So our goal is to engage them fully and to come up with a vision that we think will meet everyone's needs for that area of the river.
And so the only thing I'll add, Dean, is in addition to when we say we mean the collective we, which means that the ditch companies and the irrigators feel is in their best interests, because we are very aware of the authoritative hierarchy here. And so we, to Dean's point, are here to start from ground zero and walk into, if this proposal is approved, walk in with literally, and I promise this, a blank piece of paper and just say, how can we take what is there and make it better so that you don't lose a drop of water, but you ultimately get every drop of water more efficiently. Dean, is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
So we'll stop there. Dean, are we good?
Yes, sir.
All right.
See if you have any questions from council, Mr. Bono.
No, just you can't really give a definitive time frame on the completion of the design, correct?
Well, we don't have a detailed schedule. I think the biggest thing is going to be the survey, how long it's going to take to get the survey. Everybody's crazy busy right now, but the surveyor has assured me once we give him authorization that he can get out there within a month. So I'm thinking probably a couple months to get the survey finished. And then, so it's probably going to be 4 to 6 months for us to wrap this part up.
Thank you.
Is there any reason why we did the Commercial Street to the Railroad Bridge section first? Is it logistics because water flows downhill?
And this is the section that there was the most controversy and where the head gate for the ditch companies are, and so we wanted to really take a good look at this section and
This
get
is
it.
the most complicated section.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard the word complicated, and Dean, step in and correct me in 5 seconds when I, trip. I love the word most complicated. I love the term most important. This is water, and I've been doing this a little while, and so I made up as I do it's about cattle and corn. And what I mean by that, it's about crops and livestock. And what this is about is making sure, and let the record show on tape, we have never proposed anything that would deny a drop of water. In fact, the whole concept here is to have a win-win, which is better water delivery and yet an increased opportunity for recreational and environmental opportunities. But at the end of the day, water delivery is first and fun is second. Dean, am I okay with that, Jared? Am I good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Just one question for my information. So when I got my packet and I saw we were talking during the work session about the GoCo Centennial grants. Is there anything out there that we could research to look at those grants? Because I looked on the GoCo website and it's very limited, the amount of information on there.
And my answer is this. Dean and I will work with Jared, we will work with your city manager, and we will maximize the opportunity to provide you that knowledge. Let me tell you what my understanding is, and I just did a big caveat there. GoCo is still working on the very documentation that you're talking about.
Okay.
And which is another reason why the more Trinidad stays ahead of the game, the more they stay into the clock on this, the better. But my understanding is the knowledge that you wisely are looking to have in front of you is still being crafted.
Okay.
But I can assure you, knowing Jared, knowing Mike, knowing the mayor, that when concept becomes reality, you will know that. And that's another reason why having your concept paper approved and having an application in by the end of this month, and thank you for the addendum support last week, and again, your early whatever present is, unless you want me, you don't have to deal with Shoemaker next week at your council meeting, but
I kind of like you, Jeff.
Joking aside, and that is, we are engaging aggressively with GoCo to take not known and turn it into known, but to their credit, this is a whole new process, a whole new game for them based on new both mission and political realities. So I assure you that the more Trinidad does to stay engaged and keep pushing the paradigm, I'm the 67-year-old, pedal to the metal. The more Trinidad can put that pedal to the metal, the more you are ready to be strategically engaged to put in the most strategic opportunity. And I'll stop with this. It ain't real till it's real, and we can call it chicken and eggs and all of that. But here's what I'm under contract with you guys, so I owe this to you to tell you this. Without overstating it, there is significant, and you know this, interest. So all I'm doing is endorsing from outside what you already know. There is significant interest within GoCo for your city. And I'm too old and too stupid to whatever. So just that and whatever gets you whatever. I'm just saying this is all part of getting to the end zone, which is a centennial grant. That's what Jared is working on. That's what Mike is working on. That's what the mayor and you all we are all sharing, and that is how do we get to the prize? And that prize is a centennial grant. And my opinion, after only 40 years in this game, is this proposal, and yeah, I'm the guy asking you for money, but this proposal will get you there in an increasingly competitive way. Dean, am I okay here? Okay.
Frank. Ms. Ogletree, do you have any questions?
I just really appreciated what Mr. Shoemaker said about look at where we are. And I think about this project and it's very exciting. And I think the fact that we're working toward this is very much, has to do with the fact that we are working with a very professional organization. And they're showing us what we need to do, and they're bringing the right professionals to the table to assist us. And I'm all in favor of this agreement.
I don't have any questions. Just, no, I'm good.
Well, my feeling has been from the beginning is move forward with this simply because we're trying to establish Trinidad as a destination point. And this is just another this is another opportunity that we have. Jared, you and I have had this conversation of this adds a third lake, which is a kind of a trifecta to our community for recreation services and amenities that we have. We have Fisher's Peak, we have Trinidad Lake, and we have this moves forward. And if we can accomplish this, we will have 3 major recreational areas for not only the residents but for tourists to come and visit Trinidad. And so I think it's really important that we continue as we try to establish Trinidad as a destination point, which will increase our overall economy. We try to diversify our economy, will make us look more attractive to other types of businesses coming in. So it's just, I just believe that this is the right thing to do. The one question I have is, in your documentation about next steps, there's no, this funding in here does not include those next steps, correct?
I'll refer to Jeff on that one. I think this is just for, no, to answer your question, no, it does not.
Because this would be all the engineering and
Yes,
all that
right.
other stuff that would come first.
Yes.
My answer, Mayor, is this effort will allow us to create the next game plan for those next steps. And I'll say 2 things, and then unless you need something from Shoemaker, I'm done. Number 1, Crystal Dreiling, you're a rock star. I see you. I can't see you, but your name's on a list, and that is, you are just this ninja warrior for Fisher's Peak State Park. So thank you. And secondly, I want to forewarn all of you, and that is Nancy and I are in a car coming down on the 29th of April to stay and walk and be in your community just for the hell of it. It has nothing to do with work. It just has to do with me wanting Nancy to gain, which I know she will, my passion for your city. So, hide your children and leash your dogs, because Shoemaker's going to be in town from about noon on Friday through noon on Sunday.
Okay.
But we're gonna come down and walk your town, and Crystal, in a moment of weakness, has agreed to take us on a preview tour of her emphasis, her park on Friday afternoon. So, Mayor and Mike and Jared, Dean, we're here.
Okay.
We love this project.
The last thing I wanted to bring up, and this is something that always, it bugs me, it's a terminology, some of the verbiage, and this one only used in this concept here, but you hear it all over. That any time that we talk about people, undocumented workers, they call them illegal aliens. And to me, that sounds like you'd be an illegal alien from Mars, Jupiter, or wherever, So I really would like to, if you change it to illegal undocumented workers. I think that's the proper terminology. I think that does sound better. So like I said, that's all I have. Unless council has any other questions. Okay, with that, call vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Jeff, I guess you'll have to show up again at some point, so we'll see you again. Thank you, Jerry. We'll see you later.
Thank you. I promise we will deliver. Thank you all so much. Take care.
Okay, all right.
Mayor, Mike, thank you all. Good luck. Thanks.
On item 8B, first reading of an ordinance vacating a portion of Beech Street, Short Street, and Arizona Streets right away in the original town site of the city of Trinidad, Los Angeles County, Colorado, and setting a hearing date for consideration of said ordinance at 6 p.m. on April 5th, 2022. Need someone to introduce?
I'll introduce.
Entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Just?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Basically, this is a process that when we approved the plat back in January, in vacations, certain streets on that particular plat. And through that process, through the state, we're required to actually do an ordinance. So that's why we come to you tonight, to officially make this an ordinance to get this properly vacated in that plat. So that being said,
Let's see if there's any questions from Mr. Bond.
No, just why did it take a year?
I'm not sure.
Well, we approved the plat with notes on the plat stating that these streets were to be vacated. And this is the block right over here with Holy Trinity School, the library, the gym, and everything. It was re-subdivided. It had streets that were platted back in the 1800s that were there. We had notes on the plat, but it's come to our attention that in order to officially vacate by state statute, it has to be by ordinance of the city council. So this is why we're moving forward to clean that up, basically.
That's great.
No, I got no.
Ms. Ogletree, do you have any questions?
No questions, Mayor.
No question.
Okay. The only thing, I think there was a typo in some of the wording. Under the background information, it says typo is under Holy Trinidad, and I think it's supposed to be Holy Trinity. So, look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trinidad is holy.
Yeah. Call vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item C.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Justice. Award a bid for a 15 kV vacuum circuit breaker project to Mitsubishi Electric Power Products Incorporated for the amount of $108,750. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Discussion, Mr. Valentine.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. If you recall, we approved the overall bid to take care of the 4160 breakers at the power plant. They were aged. We're on our last legs with them, and we council approved the agreement with Cross Canyon Engineering to go out and do this. That approval was for their engineering. They took and spec'd out the breakers, vetted the, I think we received 3 bids on this one, and vetted the breakers, their fit, their deliverability, and from their recommendation, they're recommending the breakers from Mitsubishi Electric and Power Products. They are not the low bid, they are the second low bid, but part of the vetting process was delivery time. We need those breakers replaced now, and there's a difference of, I believe, $8,000, and it's my recommendation that we go with the engineer's recommendation and go with the Mitsubishi breakers.
Questions, Mr. DeBon?
No, I haven't.
No, sir.
Don't.
Ogletree, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay, Mr. Stewart?
No, no question.
I don't have any questions. Call vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item D, award of the bid for a 2022 Komatsu W8320-8 loader for the landfill to Power Motive Corporation in an amount of $267,800. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Discussion, Mr. Just, you're back up.
Back up. Mr. Mayor, member of council, This is a piece of equipment that we strongly need out at the landfill. Actually, I have part of my landfill staff here tonight, which is, I think they came for appreciation of the ARPA funds, but as well as this piece of equipment. We have an old Caterpillar track loader that's on its last leg. I mean, how many hours on that bucket?
Truck loader has 25,000.
So anyway, with this new wheel loader, it's ordered with a special waste package. It's going to have hard tires, so we don't have to worry about flat tires. And mostly it's going to be used on the face to cover because we have to cover every night. We ordered it with a clamshell bucket. As you know, the wind blows here excessively, and we can use that bucket to help pick up. That was one of the things we got deemed on from the state, was wind blown trash. So it's badly needed, and we appreciate your thoughts on this piece of equipment.
Okay. And like I said, that will, the funding for that will come from the marijuana sales tax. This is where it's coming from.
That is correct. We get 10% of the, since we're a enterprise, thank you. We're able to pull 10% of our revenue from as long as it doesn't exceed 10% of our revenue. So Cheryl's going to speak next on how we're going to set up a loan on it.
Mr. DeBono, any questions?
No, I just read that it's a versatile piece of machine with easily changing attachments.
It is. So it's a loader, and it's a wheel loader. What we're using right now is a track loader. For the back and forth motion, we've been told by the manufacturer that it's not going to wear out. Like a track loader, it takes a lot of abuse, you know. So, but with having the hard tires, it'll do us a good long time.
How much is a long time?
You know,
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I thought you asked.
No, I was gonna say 10 years.
I'm open.
At least.
We hope.
Or to you until I retire.
We're gonna get with you.
You have to rub it in. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm in law.
No, no. Ms. Ogletree, you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
Ms. Dillon?
No questions.
Okay, and that is complete. We don't have to have any additional attachments?
No.
That we have to purchase later on?
No, it's coming ready to work.
All right. And the time to receive that piece of equipment, how long out is that?
Well, I was told by the manufacturer they have 3 loaders sitting in South Carolina. So we get a PO tomorrow. We can probably get one shipped out, and we're probably going to wait 2 to 3 weeks to get hard tires. So we don't want to go out. It will come with a regular standard bucket, but the manufacturer said they would bring the clamshell bucket down in about approximately 14 to 18 weeks, change it out, and we'll be fully outfitted. But we can still proceed with the regular bucket until we receive the clamshell bucket.
Good. Okay. There's any other questions? Call the vote, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes,
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Item E, first reading of an ordinance authorizing the master equipment lease purchase agreement dated March 10, 2022, between the city as lessee and the Public First National Corporation as lessor for the acquisition of a new 2022 Komatsu WA 320-8 wheel loader, setting a hearing date for consideration of said ordinance at 6 p.m. on April the 5th, 2022. Need someone to introduce?
We'll introduce it.
Okay, entertain a motion.
So moved.
so moved.
Okay, first and second, we're done there, okay? Discussion. Cheryl?
So in your packet, you should have the master lease agreement. It's a draft copy. So I'm not sure that we can order the equipment tomorrow because this financing isn't secured. So we might have to push that out 2 more weeks on top. Anyway, this is financing for the equipment. It will be paid for through marijuana funds through the next 5 years at a 2.85% interest rate. The interest paid will be 18,000, uh-oh, I thought I had that. So anyway, the equipment is $267,800. We are putting down a $50,000 down payment. And interest total, sorry, you got it. Do you have that?
Yeah, it's 18,146.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, there it is, thank you. I just typed this last week. So anyway, the language to comply with Tabor, meaning the non-appropriation fund, or non-appropriation clause is in the paperwork. And that's how we're gonna get this piece of equipment, is to get this financing secured.
Questions from council, Mr. DeBon?
No, just with interest, it's gonna be close to 300,000. Everything's pretty full.
Is that a good interest rate?
Actually, yes, I was contacted by 2 other financing companies, and so we were able to get shops and quotes, of course, it would have been lower if we would have went 4 years, but because we went 2.85, and then the highest rate was 2.97, and I'm pretty sure the bucket truck was 3.1 something, but,
okay.
So it is, they are lower, the rates now.
I have
No question.
Solo training questions?
I do not.
No questions.
Okay. Now that funding is gonna come from that $25 per pound funding, or is that the right
No,
marijuana?
this will be coming out of regular marijuana, yes.
So if we want to, at some point, if we feel like there's money for marijuana, we'll just pay the doggone thing off. I think that would be something that we as council, I think we need to consider. Save on interest and hold that.
Right, and that would have to be through the cultivation fees, because again, they're only allotted 10% grant from the general
That's what I was
fund.
talking about,
Yes.
the cultivation fee.
Yes, correct.
That's still on top of that. So it could take maybe a couple of years to do that, use that cultivation piece, is what you're saying. Yeah. All right, call the vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item F, resolution committing reserve funds held by the city of Trinidad. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Everett?
So in your packet is your resolution for the committing of funds. As discussed during the work session, we're going to move out the $2.6 million that was committed for the West Main Street project. We're going to transfer that into the capital fund for those projects that are getting ready to get going. And in place, we're going to add $3 million for the first Chestnut and Maple Street project, and $1 million for fleet for the fire department apparatuses that were discussed at the work session. That brings the total of committed funds to $9.8 million.
Any questions, Mr. DeBon?
No, I haven't.
Ms. Clayton?
No.
Ms. Ogletree, any questions?
No, thank you.
No questions.
I don't have any questions either. Call the vote?
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item G, consideration procedure to fill city manager position, contracting with outside recruiting firm and RFP specifications. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion, Ms. Valencic, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Big shout out to Audra for putting me last on the agenda. So, we're ready for this. As I sent out in your packet, you saw that I would like just a couple answers this evening. I'm prepared. I have an RFP prepared, ready to go out, but I needed to get some direction from council to let me know exactly how you want to do your search, how wide you want to throw the net. And only because I think it will impact the cost and time involved with the RFP. So I didn't know if I felt like I had a clear direction after the last work session or whatever that was. I'm hoping you do.
Mr. DeBono.
Are we still trying to initiate the headhunters?
Yes, so what I would like to do, and
and
we've done this process in the past, is I would like to send out RFPs to several recruiting firms, so we can get a nice, whatever the word I'm looking for. It's obviously too late at night, and so that we get some good proposals and we have a good feeling
So
about the
maybe it
firm that we
wouldn't take it
choose.
that lengthy of a process possibly?
You mean to make it a nationwide versus a
Right.
regional? I don't think it's really gonna add that much more time. You know, this is such a succinct process they have. Honestly, allowing 10 days to 2 weeks to receive back the RFPs is plenty of time. They have boilerplate issue, things that they do, so we can get that back pretty quick. And then they know exactly where to advertise. Of course, they'll consult with you guys, but they have all of that stuff.
So
I
the
don't think it
email-
would add a lot more.
So all of the email input that council gave you was very helpful?
Oh, absolutely, and I have a lot of stuff already prepared, so while the RFP is out, I'm gonna be hitting you guys up with homework to get some more stuff nailed down, so once we get information back from and choose our recruiting firm, we're ready to go on the next step. So we're gonna make it as quick as we can.
So we'll have some insight on the recruiting firm, definitely.
Yes, and that'll be the next thing. The next thing I will ask from you guys is to have criteria on what you want to base your choice for on the recruiting firm, so that we have that. And then you can let me know whether you guys want to pick the recruiting firm or whether you want to have the administrative staff pick the recruiting firm based on your criteria. But tonight, we just need to know, I just need to know how to finalize this RFP.
So when you're talking about a nationwide search, you're talking about a nationwide search for the firm that's gonna help us find.
No, I'm talking about a nationwide search for you for city manager.
Okay.
I'm going to, I can get recruiting firms, probably, they can be with Colorado, they can be regionally, I'm going to reach out to several of those
Okay.
that I've had recommendations from different municipalities, from different people. We'll send that RFP out, we'll obviously do it locally as well. But the nationwide search I'm asking for is how far you guys want to reach looking for a city manager. Sorry.
My preference after talking to Lee Merkel last week, he mentioned something about regional.
That's a choice.
He said something about we'll probably be more successful regionally than nationwide.
But really, it's a preference. We've done nationwide before. We've done that before.
If I could, it just seems like it's easier to cast a broader net.
Okay.
And then you can, hold the herd. If anyone disagrees with me, please say so. But I think it's just better to cast a larger net. That way you're not limited. And at a minimum, I would say statewide. I would suggest nationally.
Okay. Okay, I've never done this before. So nationwide's good.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times with nationwide, so I don't have any issue with that.
Ms. Ogletree?
I think with what is everything that's on our plate, we need to find the very best candidate that we can, who can handle everything that we have going on. So I think that is going to require a nationwide search. I also think that given everything that's in front of us, we're going to be well positioned to get some good candidates. And I think we should be looking forward to what we get. But I strongly support nationwide.
Yeah, nationwide sounds good. I mean, I would love to get somebody from the home team, somebody in the Southwest at least, but nationwide, as long as they're qualified, and be capable to fill Mike's shoes and take his DNA and plug it into the head. That's right. Put his DNA into the head hunters, database, and maybe we can come up with something.
Yeah, I think nationwide is good, I think, and I talked to Lee Merkel yesterday, and I asked him if he felt like she's ready to go with an RFP, if returning that RFP within 10 days was adequate. He said, yeah. He says, these people, they've done this before, and he said, you should be able to receive those RFPs back within 10 days, and I know that we're running close to that week, that off week. I know Valentine is taking off on vacation, but I think that we may have to have another meeting on this in between. You can miss that meeting. And we can pick, it'll give us a little bit of time, maybe 4 or 5 days to review those RFPs and come together, make a selection, and then plan whoever we select for them to come in and do an interview process with them and then move forward. So I think probably by middle of April, we could probably have this process moving along pretty well.
Right.
Maybe even sooner than that.
Right, we can give it our best shot, and I think there's a possibility there will be several special meetings
Right.
from here until we get the position filled, just to not delay the process.
And,
But,
keep me abreast of what you feel on those meetings, and we can talk about that, and how we move forward with it.
right, just watch your emails.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it. I think that was all that I had. Call roll, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item 9, council reports. Mr. Bone?
I don't have anything today.
I'm gonna make mine issue because this has been a really long meeting. But it's too bad some of the people from the first group that were here during the work session aren't here now, or I'd go into more detail, but Mike and I and Mayor Rico had a meeting with the Fisher's Peak working group on Friday, and they went through the whole process, the project of Fisher's Peak State Park. And to say these people are professional is an understatement. And I think they're doing a fantastic job. There's so many facets of this project and they're taking all these facets, they've got all these facets, all these issues covered, and they're doing an exceptionally, really fantastic job. I have 150% confidence in the partnerships that the city has formed with the Trust for Public Land, CPW, and the Nature Conservancy District. I think they're doing a great job. And April 11th is going to be another open public meeting, and I think people that are wanting to go in maybe an additional direction or a different direction need to come and see what it takes to put a plan like this together. Yes, that's all.
No.
So
What that is, Arts and Culture met and they weren't able to have their work session on their master plan for our public art because of technical difficulties, but they just keep plugging along. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Thurman.
No questions. Outdoor Records making my job easy. He's here every week, so.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good thing.
Just want to mention, I've already talked to Mr. Valentine about this, but I really believe that there's nobody, well, the PD is here, but congratulations for the drug bust that you guys have done. You guys are doing a phenomenal job in keeping some of these drugs off the streets. So, 2 major busts in the last few weeks, terrific job. Mr. Valentine and I attended a meeting at the college with Kevin O'Neill. What was the name of the group? Anyway.
It was a meeting.
Yeah.
At the college.
Anyway, they come to Trinidad. They want to try to put together some courses as well as possibly maybe bringing attracting businesses from the aerospace industry into the community. And there's a whole process to this, but it was interesting listening to them. So there's another possibility of some economic development in the future. The big thing that we discussed there is going to be very critical is the broadband issue, because any type of industry like that, that's kind of required.
Catalyst Campus.
There you go, the Catalyst Campus. Right. right now they have two of them, one of them in Springs, the other one's in Ogden, Utah.
Right.
So, and even the one in Colorado Springs, they have like 5 buildings that they take up. In Ogden, Utah, I guess they started off slow and just kind of mushroomed from there. I'm not sure how big they've gotten, but they've grown their buildings of their industry up there. You know, talking, also, like I said, attended the Fisher's Peak. There were 2 meetings on that. One of them was with the partnerships on Thursday, and then there was one Friday where they went into more depth. All I could say is very well done. I mean, it's amazing the concept that they have for the Fisher's Peak project. So I think when the city and the community sees what they have plans, I think they're just going to be, it really is a wow factor. I'll tell you that. It's going to be a wow factor. It is a wow factor. With that being said, Mr. Valentine, I think we want to, I talked with Crystal Dryling today, and I think whether or not he can come down or not, once we find out the exact date and time, which we know it's going to be April the 11th, once we find out exactly the date and time, I think we send out a special invitation to the governor. He can be here. And we might have to go through Debbie, work with Debbie on that process. I'm not sure what her recommendation would be. I also recommended that their director send an invite to him as well. That way it comes from both directions. On Friday, Mr. Valentine and I met with Debbie on current legislation, and there are a few items. Of course, there's some more housing initiatives coming that are being proposed. There's also some additional resources for volunteer firefighters, greenhouse gas emissions, some more crime prevention initiatives coming down. Also some additional marijuana regulations or some other stuff that they're talking about. So we'll stay on top of that as that evolves. You know, I wish all the people that were here early on would have stayed, because they could see what we've all been involved with, from the Fisher's Peak planning to the Greenway Foundation, to show that we are really moving this community along. And I think it would have been good if they could have been here. So that's all I have, Mr. Valentine.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Along the lines of everybody was here, I think Audra received several letters of support for what they presented. So those were emailed to you just for your own information. And the only other thing I have is I will be taking vacation March 21st through the 25th, so that week I will be gone. This is a month where we have 3 eligible Mondays for work session. I won't be here for the 21st, but we'll be back for the 28th for work session. So I know staff would appreciate a week off. I don't know about.
So the council would be rid of it.
Can't even afford it.
Well, I don't know. After hearing discussion, I'm going to be on vacation. You could talk about me all day.
Yeah, I think that's something I will have to talk with Donna.
Sure.
We'll have another additional meeting or whatever it is. Before you leave, Mike, on your vacation, of course, the next day or two, we'll talk about that other thing that was talked about. Sure. With the TR. Next week. TPR. Yeah. And maybe you can come back for the work session we'll have on that.
Okay. That's all.
Mr. Downs.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. So the only thing I have to report on is my response to the comments made by Mrs. Landry and Zeachus and Ms. Schumann. So please indulge me for a few moments. I love nothing more than what I can say. I have nothing to report on, and we can all go. but I have a lot to say tonight, and there's a lot that needs to be said in response. To begin, I want to say, I believe there are 41 liquor licenses in Trinidad. I think that's what Councilwoman Ogletree said when she was reading the findings on the other liquor license application. There are, I believe, 26 retail marijuana store licenses also. Now, current staff may not have been involved in all of the liquor licenses that are currently outstanding, but we've been involved in a lot of them. And we've been involved in all of the marijuana licenses. And never have we had so much difficulty. Never have we had anyone come forward who really is refusing to understand what we are telling them about what they need in support of their liquor license. And I know they want to make it all about us, and that's okay. And that's what they tried to do. But we have dealt with the applicant and their representatives throughout. And I want to say that no one has been grabbing snacks.
I knew you were gonna talk about it.
This is like, okay, he's getting warmed up.
We knew it was gonna be a long one.
I want to say that I really take umbrage at the notion that anybody has been in any way unprofessional or has been disrespectful or in any way discourteous to anyone. We have all gone out of our way to maintain our professionalism. And while the meeting was going on, I sent you an email that I sent to Mr. Landry earlier today in response to his email. Anyway, and I'll comment on that in a moment, but all professional, and we are doing everything we can to bend over backwards and accommodate this applicant. I want to next say that the complaining about communicating through lawyers, well, I have been in this chair for 10 years now, and I've never had anyone have 3 people come in and sign up for time so that all 3 of them could make argument basically about how terrible we are, but make argument about what they're wanting to say, and even have, I don't know if Mr. Howlett was doing that also, but basically doing what they did so that they could have 15 minutes to communicate. That is what they do. They will communicate with different people in the city, quote one person against another person and say, well, the building inspector and the fire person are ready to come out and inspect. Why are you not helping us and why are you not going forward? It totally made sense to have all communication now go through the attorneys. Plus, once you lawyer up, that is what you do. You have communication go through the attorneys, and that's exactly what we've done. We're not treating them differently. We're not trying to be harsh to them. We are simply doing it like anyone else does once they lawyer up. And I do want to say, I just want to kind of emphasize the point that they repeatedly have refused to accept our answers. And I just want to say again that if one person says something, they will misquote us. And I've been misquoted by Mr. Landry a number of times with respect to this. I also want to say regarding not getting personal, not only have we never gotten personal, or as far as I know, angry with any of them, but coming here and saying that I'm incompetent, or this is a daddy-mommy child relationship. I mean, I'm just going to say that is an example of unprofessionalism and being disrespectful, clearly. I want to say that, too, it was Mr. Landry who previously wanted to have all communication in writing regarding this matter. It was his request, and I was more than happy to oblige him, and we have been doing that ever since. Now, I want to say that what I am holding up is a diagram of the premises that you approved. And I would like to say, you approved this. And when Mr. Landry quotes me as saying, I wanted to get them to the point where they could get approved, he's absolutely right. I wanted them to get to the point where they could get approved. And we did. But this premises has 4 walls, a food preparation area, a dining area, and you know, a kitchen, places to clean things, and perhaps most importantly, 2 ADA accessible bathrooms. Now, that's all in this diagram of this premises. Now, I want you to hearken back to when one of them was speaking, I think it was Mr. Zeachis, and he said, yeah, we're now talking about getting, you know, JJ Rivera and Little Stinker and porta potties. That is an example of what we are dealing with. And number 1, they're not semi-permanent. Number 2, they're not ADA accessible. Number 3, they're not part of this diagram. And number 4, under no circumstances are they of the sanitary conditions that are required in order to support a restaurant. But that's an example. And that was just one of the things that Mr. Zeachis said tonight that we're dealing with.
Mr. Downs,
yes.
on that particular point,
Right.
Being that you want to use porta potties, is that actually legal by the health department?
No, I don't believe it is. I really don't believe it is. I don't think there's any way. But it's not, okay, it's not part of a premises. And I want to say, you approved this on January 4th of 2022. Approved. So really, none of this should be before you anymore. Your work is done. We had the hearing. Approved. I know I'm being repetitive, but you approved that. At some point after that, the applicant came in and sent to us a diagram. And by the way, I've sent this to you in an earlier email. And this, I know it's hard when I just hold it up, but this is what they're wanting to do now. Okay? This is post-approval. We're approved for this, but this is what we want to do now. And this, so you know, I didn't even see this initially. This little gray area is this, okay? It's not highlighted anymore. It would not be the licensed premises. The licensed premises is this green area that is all outdoor stuff with a little rectangle that would be a trailer, okay? A trailer. And that's what they want us to approve, and that is now their model, their plan. And what do we not have? Well, we don't have council approval for that whole idea, but we don't have any plans, any schematic, any diagram, anything whatsoever to indicate what that would look like, or where the bathrooms would be, where the food preparation area would be. And I didn't even mention before the alcohol preparation, the alcohol consumption. Yes, you can have outdoor dining, that's fine, but we have got to have a premises. Now, is this just Les being a jerk, just coming up with all this premises language? To read to you from the Trinidad Code, section 3-2, the application for a liquor license should be complete in every material detail and shall be accompanied by the documents required to illustrate ownership interests, possession, the proposed licensed premises in detail, and moral character. Wow. 4 things we need. One of them is the licensed premises in detail, and that is too much. Can't do it. Oh my God, the city attorney is so incompetent and is such a, I'm sorry, I don't want to get wound up, I'm sorry. Anyway, so that is what we are dealing with. Now that is the...
One other point.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the way it sounds like we approved A and now they want B.
That's correct.
And what happens.
That's
is
correct.
that they keep changing the goalposts.
That is
So,
good point,
now,
good
the other
point.
thing too,
Right.
with that change, would that have to come in front of council?
Well, yes, I mean, it has to be approved, and a lot of things can be done administratively, but I think absolutely this is going to have to go before council. It's completely a change, and again, we have no idea what this trailer looks like, what the setup is, what the diagram of the premises is, or where the bathrooms are, but I guess they're gonna be porta potties. I said I wasn't gonna get excited.
Just drive up there. They've already started on it.
Well, they can do, I guess, I don't want to say too much, but can do whatever they.
They got all kinds of stuff going. They built a fence that's ridiculous.
I understand, but it's not the liquor license premises. And I will say, a lot of this was confusing early on, because it was talking, and that was when Councilman Goodall was here, about the whole premises and licensing the whole premises. So I'm not going to waste much of our time on that. Right, I mean, the whole property, the whole, I'm struggling for terms, but you have got to have a premises. I have read to you the ordinance. Let me read to you from state statute 443312. No license shall be issued by any local licensing authority after approval of an application. So will not be issued after approval. You have to have that for approval, by the way. But no license shall be issued after approval of an application until the building in which the business is to be conducted is ready for occupancy with such furniture, fixtures, and equipment in place as necessary for the applicable provisions, and that after inspection of the premises has been made by the licensing authority to determine that the applicant has complied with the architect's drawing and the plot plan detailed sketch for the interior of the building submitted with the application. Are you tired of listening to me talk? You should be. And this is exactly what we've been telling them, right? Again and again and again and again. I had the email I sent to you a little bit ago, I sent that this morning, email communication with Mr. Landry yesterday, email communication with Mr. Landry on Friday, email communication, I was out sick for a while prior to that, but email communication to get back to the bad metaphor of moving the goalposts. They keep missing the field goal attempt and blaming us.
Okay,
And
so what
Okay.
what is the answer here? That's what I'm.
Okay, so the answer is, and can I just say a few more points, please, and then I'll answer your question. Okay, well, I'll try to limit myself. So when they say that I told them you might want to get a lawyer, I think I did say that. But I was hoping they would get a lawyer that would help them to understand what they needed to do. Not like sometimes happens, and a person gets a lawyer who embraces their mindset, which is precisely what has happened here. And I'm more than happy to call it as I see it, because that's exactly what has gone on here, and it's really a perfect storm, what I say with all due respect. So what needs, I know there were other points I was going to make, but what needs to happen here is they need to get us a premises. They need to either do, now I'm losing pieces of paper, but they need to do what has been approved, or I guess show us what the trailer is going to be, but I don't think it's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be okay because it's not going to have ADA accessible bathrooms. And by the way, in an earlier confidential email I sent to you, I can say this just because it is what is in there, not the content of my memo, but there are things on what you have to have a restaurant, and what you have, the permanent fixtures, the sinks, the everything you have to have. So you have to have that. This is, I probably should have led with this, but a hotel and a restaurant liquor license. That's what this is. So you have to have something that is a semi-permanent structure that can be called, under some semblance of normalcy and reasonableness, a restaurant and a building and a premises. And everything requires it, and that's what we need. And we're not being unfair. We're not being, and all communication is in writing. Everything is professional. Everything is good. But that is what we need to begin to move this. That's what we need.
Okay, I'm seeing that And of course, one of the references is that they've talked to you, they've talked to the building department, they've talked to Audra, supposedly, they've gotten, different answers. And my recommendation, and I think I can speak from council here, is that you guys pinpoint one person, if that's you, if it's Audra or whoever, to call or to send them an email, say, if they want to use the original concept that they have, we move forward. If they want to change it, then they need to submit it properly to come forward to council, but they also need to get with you so that they can understand everything that is needed before it comes to us.
Would you like me to read you my email from this morning? I don't have to. It's not real long. But I said it during the meeting, but it says exactly that you need to do these things. If you want to go with the original plan, go with the original plan. If you've got a new plan, we need that diagram.
Now, the other thing I would recommend is that, of course, if you're going to be there, you're going to be the lead person in this, is that someone from the building department can be there in case there's any questions. If there's any questions from I'm not sure if you can even bring the health department into this, because it sounds like it's at that point. So that everybody, and they have the attorney there if they want. If they want to be there, I know there's going to be 6 or 7 people there, but everybody hears the same things.
But Mayor, if I could,
that's the answer.
It's not respectfully, because now it's lawyer to lawyer, and they have now got to complete their application. They have got to give us what we need for an application. I mean, it's complete if they're going to go forward with their original plan, but if they're going to deviate from that, they need to do something else. It's lawyer to lawyer, and believe me, all communication I share with Mike and Audra, and all of that is shared with them. And we had a Zoom meeting with Mr. Landry, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, and we said everything that I am saying now, everything that I said in my email of yesterday and today and Friday, so I appreciate that. But before we get the health department, the building department, those are kind of the final box check people who come in to do what they need to do. We need a complete liquor license.
But at the same time, those are the points that they're missing.
Well, they're not.
They say they're not, but they are.
But okay, so
they're avoiding it. Put it that way. That's why I say sometimes it's better to get everybody in the room.
Right. Mayor, I would just say this is kind of making it a little bit worse. They need to complete their application. They've got to complete their application, and so you don't need the final people, and you don't need 8 people in a room, because we can't make one of that group either understand or do what they need to do. And they keep coming in complaining and saying it's them, meaning staff, not us. And so
here's what I'm going to say is this: that I think this is. I don't want to hear about this again. I think unless it comes to us in the form of another ordinance or resolution or whatever has to be done, that's what we want to hear about. Because I think for them to come in front of the council and beat the bushes, it's not something I want to hear.
You cannot tell them that they can't come before you. And by your saying that, they're going to be more likely to come back, more likely to bust my chops, because they're going to think, oh yeah, the mayor doesn't want to hear about this again. So here we go. When's our next meeting?
Les, let me say this.
Yeah.
The way that's done, they have to go by code, right?
Right.
So it's up to the building inspector. It should be up to us. If they don't pass it, then that's their problem. They need to correct it.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the simplest answer is just tell the building inspector to do it, and that's the way it should be.
You guys, could you please hear me on this, okay? Evidently, I am speaking like in a foreign tongue, because we have to have plans or a drawing of a premises. Okay, let me finish, please. So, and it could be in the future, right? Like we had that conversation before. It could be in the future. But we have to have acceptable plans. Then they build it out and do whatever they're going to do, pursuant to the schematic. And then the building inspector goes and says, okay, does this match? Does it pass code? Is it what you said it was going to do? And that is when we do that. But right now, and I feel like it's just not getting heard, we have to have plans for things in the ordinance.
I think we've heard you.
Okay, good.
They need that plan. They need to.
But what I'm saying is, they can operate if they go by that plan, right? Because we approved it, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so if the building inspector doesn't approve it, then they have the, it's no
Well-
problem.
Good point, but we don't send out the building inspector until they say they're ready.
Well, he's already had some issues with him, I talked to him.
Okay, okay.
And I mean, he knows what goes on, but we need to, I mean, I think, it's like you say, it's an endless deal.
Right.
And the only way you could do it is you have to go by the book.
And all indications are right now, they're not wanting to do the original plan. And they're, but not giving us plans.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Go home and take a shot, will you?
Yeah, I wish I could. I don't even get to do that.
Motion to adjourn. Second. Call roll.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego? Yes. Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes.